What's good, people? And welcome to another edition of Politrick here on Got What You Need Network. Of course, I'm your host, Sky. Be sure to check out the other great podcasts on this network. The Black Male Podcast, Talking with E, Life and Love, and the Encourage and Inspire Podcast. And also make sure that you add the Got What You Need Network on your Roku station as well. And we have a lot of great content coming to that platform as well. Trump is out of control, all right? And I'm not gonna play the hypocrisy game. It's like we need another word stronger than that at this point. But I just want to point out some things that first violate the Constitution, but really puts this country in danger and makes us very, very weak. Let's start there. I have a few other things to cover today, but this is mostly going to be about the POTUS and all the nonsense that is going on. And you might say, well, when isn't there nonsense? I get it. All right. Let's start with the abuse of power. So, Kristi Noem, she used to be the, the governor, of South Dakota. And while Joe Biden was president, here's a tweet from her. If Joe Biden federalizes the National Guard, that would be a direct attack on states' rights. Over the last several years, we've seen Democrats try to take away our freedoms of religion, assembly, and speech. We can't let them take away our right to defend ourselves, too. South Dakota defends the Constitution. I read that because as we speak, there are National Guard troops in Los Angeles that weren't requested by the governor, that the governor is against, the mayor of the city of Los Angeles is against, as well as the police chief. Trump is upset that his immigration crackdowns he's getting so much heat. Him and his administration are getting so much heat over these crackdowns, and it's becoming embarrassing with all the protesting. So what do? They send some agitators to LA to then cause some ruckus, so then they can print those images all over television. I also want to point out that you send these guys into these peaceful protests because you're on a power trip, and then you don't even adequately equip them. They were sent with no food, no lodging arrangements, no extra equipment, anything. There's so many images of them just sleeping on the floor, like basically using their bag as a pillow, when, all they were doing was acting on the president's orders. So far, things haven't gotten worse as of this broadcast, but I will definitely, keep you posted. There have been a bunch of other protests that have spawned around the country to show solidarity with the people in LA. Mexican president, my girl Claudia, she came out and basically just told, Trump, just watch yourself on how he treats Mexicans in America. So I don't know what that means, but we'll see. Let's continue with this abuse of power. Now, as the president, one of the privileges you have is you have pardon power. And we can go through, each president that you can remember in your life, and each of them probably have someone questionable that they decided to pardon for whatever reason or another. And I get it. Where I draw the line with this president is it's obvious that he's using his pardon power almost for profit. So and before I even start, he pardoned NBA YoungBoy, he pardoned Larry Hoover. I believe before he left office the last time. No, it was actually this time, and he pardoned. He told him and Jay-Z had an arrangement where I guess if Jay didn't openly campaign for Biden and Harris or against him, that he would pardon, I think it's the Rock Nation CEO, Desiree, I forget her last name, and I'm just pointing those out to say that, okay, he's pardoned some minorities or whatever. I could care less. Let's start with Paul Walsack. He is a assisted living company CEO. I believe it's New Vista Living. He evaded $10.9 million in payroll taxes, kept the money for himself to splurge with yachts, expensive watches and things of that nature. He pled guilty and was to serve an 18-month prison sentence, as well as pay back $4 million in restitution. Just so happens his mom, Elizabeth Fago, attended a Trump fundraiser, I think, and donated $1 million. And she had already been, donating money and things like that. So don't tell her how much Trump got from her in all, but pretty much paid for this man's pardon. It gets better. So down in Culpeper, Virginia, former sheriff Scott Jenkins, right? He was convicted of taking bribes, pretty much hiring untrained, wealthy Virginia businessmen and making them deputies. Just pretty much, hey, if you got the money, you could be a deputy, gun and all, man, I got you. Convicted, sentenced to 10 years in prison, and just before he was about to start serving his prison time, he was pardoned by this president. But there's one we got big talk about the border, right? And in fentanyl coming in, and that's killing people, which it is, fentanyl is. So Ross Albright of Silk Road, he's the Silk Road dark web market creator. He was convicted back in 2015, sold over $200 million in drugs anonymously, was connected to 6 murder for hire plots. They aren't sure if they were carried out, and I don't have any information to say that they were, but he was connected to those. He was sentenced to life in prison. He was basically doing, what's that movie, Dope? I think that's what it's called. That movie Dope, where dude was selling drugs with Bitcoin. Same thing here. Thought he was the smartest kid in the class or whatever, but selling all types of illegal stuff, not just illegal drugs, illegal guns, silencers, all types of stuff. And Trump, and once again, convicted and serving life in prison and he was part. So that just flies in the face of we have to stop the flow of fentanyl, coming into this country, and it's so dangerous and it's killing our kids and things like that. But then someone who's not only dealing it, but dealing it secretly, to where people could have died, and it probably couldn't have even been connected to him because of how he did business. And this is somebody that you pardon, and there's so many more. We could talk about the January 6th rioters or insurrectionists that he pardoned as well. But I'll move on. Let's get to these tariff wars. So it seems like every time he makes a proclamation in regards to charging a tariff to whatever particular country, he somehow changes his mind. And it's gotten so bad to the point to where some are calling it market manipulation, and some are just calling him a chicken, where they've even come up with a slogan, taco, and it's Trump always chickens out. And that was thought up by Robert Armstrong, and he's a Financial Times commenter. Now, I don't know if you know, but our three biggest trade partners are Mexico, Canada, and China. All right? And if you see, he decided to go after those three right away. You can add up every European country that has any type of trade agreement with us, or where it's measurable trade. There you go. And you can add those up together, and then probably multiply them by 2, and they wouldn't equal the 3 that I named. And to start a fight with people that we're so connected to countries and partners, if you will, that we're so connected to, I just think is irresponsible. I'll give you an example. There's a golf course. I believe it's in Vermont. And let me get that information for you, because I don't want someone to just say, he's just making that up to make, to make our side look bad. 'Cause I do have some Republicans who listen to the show. Thank y'all. Appreciate you. But there's a golf course that's about an hour from the Canadian border. And an hour from Montreal, near the Canadian border, where 50% of the business is from Canadians. And now that they've stopped coming, now this business owner is forced to now come up with different ways, likely having to offer deeper discounts, giving up more of his profit margin to try to attract customers that he had already built and already had. And because of a president that wants to start an unnecessary fight, he and several other business owners, all over the country are losing money. So once again, I'm like, we could talk about, when Biden was in office, no one was mad at this, and I don't even want to play that game. I just want to talk about real situations to where he's making the country weaker. He's making American lives more dangerous. and he's going to start to cost us money. I'm still pulling up the information about the golf course, but I wanted to go on to, there's talks that the United States might lose the World Cup soccer, the biggest sporting match in all of the world, and we might lose it because so many players are scared to come here, even with valid visas, thinking that they'll be harassed. They see the footage. They saw the footage of the lady from Chile who was there who was visiting, legally with a 12-year-old daughter, and was literally snatched off the streets, and her daughter was left on the streets with a stranger until they got everything figured out. Like, this is what we got going on in Eric Adams, New York City. So, and one of my biggest problems with this fake immigration fight was that prior to the election, we had all these scare tactics in regards to gang members and Venezuelan gang members taking over apartment complexes and all this kind of stuff. And this is who the administration was going to start to go after. This is who DHS and Homeland Security was going to go after. But instead of doing their due diligence, finding out where MS-13 is hanging out and all these other different gangs that they plaster their names across TV to scare us. And I mean, if it's true, it's true. But then if they're that dangerous, go after them instead of camping outside of Mexican restaurants and excuse me, arresting people who are working. Gang members mostly aren't going to get jobs, so there won't be this easy way to apprehend them. And we are sitting here, and some naive people on the right are applauding taxpayer money being used for the Trump administration to put on a show and take the easy way out. And I mean, if that's cool, okay, cool. But when prices start to go up on things and you're like, I don't understand what's going on, it's only oranges, it's only bananas, why is produce so high now? Don't have anyone working the farms. And I've already spoken about my issue in regards to hiring undocumented labor. But it's apparent to me that undocumented labor is embedded into the fabric of this country, from an agricultural standpoint and a manufacturing standpoint. And I'm not saying those are only jobs that that people that come here and aren't don't have documents. They're undocumented. I'm not saying those are the only jobs you do, but those are mainly the jobs that are occupied in regards to undocumented labor that help this country go round. And once people start to see like the adverse effects, like right now people have surplus and things like that, but you give it to about July or August and they're going to start to be real shortages. You already see a bunch of farmers complaining that they can't get their work done. They just can't keep up. They've lost too many workers. So it's also happening in the construction business, especially in Florida. So we'll see about that. But all I'm saying is that before the election, there was these buses coming up from Texas. There was all of these issues at the border, and and gang member this and gang member that. And besides a few gang members sprinkled in here and there, people that have been arrested was a 4-year-old girl fighting cancer, and either husbands or wives of American citizens who I guess aren't legal. And when people say that's not what we voted for, I'm not gonna get in. I'm not gonna get into all of that. But what I would say is that there was a scare tactic used and made it seem like Venezuelan gang members were coming up in groves, and they were slowly taking over small towns all across this country, and that the Democrats and Biden had no control, and we needed Trump, big bad Trump, to come in and fix everything. I laugh just because, it's almost like y'all fell for the banana in the tailpipe. All right, Plattsburgh Golf Course. It's a ghost town right now. A lot of people are seeing alternatives now in Canada and deciding to stay on their side of the border. And some of them are just showing solidarity with their countrymen and saying, if you don't want our business, or if you don't respect our business or anything like that, then we won't bring it to you. We have the town of Point Roberts. They're complaining in regards, and they literally had to shut down a bunch of places just because of the recent tariffs and things like that, and the recent Canadians who are just literally purposely not shopping there. So once again, I want to play this. When Biden was there, I did that with the border and Governor Abbott, just to show you that his name is not being mentioned enough in regards to being the cause of this immigration and migrant crisis all over the country. And everybody thought it was funny with him sending buses full of people, and you thinking that gang members wasn't going to infiltrate those people that were seeking asylum. Like, they would be stupid if they didn't. But in the spirit of immigration, we have this construction company down in Florida. And I had all my notes together, and it seems like every time we get ready to go. Here we go. Florida construction company. They put up, the owners, the Hedrick brothers. The owner put up a tweet complaining about how ICE raided his construction site, arrested all of his workers, and he said that wasn't what he signed up for, and he thought that ICE was going to be going after gang members, and instead they're going after hardworking people. So, we followed the story, and a bunch of people gave them the you effed around and found out, speech and what have you, whatever. But then later on, we find out that he wasn't like a victim of like a random enforcement of the law. That he or somebody from his company actually were the ones who called. And what they decided to do was, since the work on this project was 90% done and they didn't want to pay him, they basically called ICE on their own workers. Now, because of how blatant this is, I'm happy to let you know that the company is being investigated and being charged for each undocumented worker that they hired. So although they thought they were getting away with it, it doesn't seem like they will be. And kudos to the authorities in Florida for like not letting that be a thing. Appreciate you on that. I want to close with I see a lot of talk in regards to what black people should be doing and why black people aren't protesting, and I don't know why y'all sitting around, you next and this, that, and the other. Let me tell y'all who don't know that they're listening. If it wasn't for black people fighting in the 50s and the 60s, no minority would have rights, as well as no women would have rights. But instead of the immigrants and the different minority groups that came over who were able to take advantage of these rights that were fought for by black people, they instead thanked the people who fought against those rights and made black people out to be lazy, you're the ones dragging the country down, even back then. So how dare you fix your face to talk about what we should do now? We heard you. We heard some of you that said, and I quote, "I would rather vote for Jesus Christ before I vote for Kamala Harris." And once again, even that one person, and even so many other Palestinians said that, it doesn't mean that they should be victims of genocide. So I don't want to say, you got what you voted for. No. What's going on in Gaza is horrible. It isn't self-defense. And people that are asking for humanity shouldn't be called anti-Semitic. Like, you have to be able to show compassion for all people. And people can't be dehumanized because it's a militant group affiliated with them. It's militant groups affiliated with every country. And a lot of these militant groups, the United States, at least partially financed them. So I just don't want any of my people out there feeling obligated or guilty or whatever. If you have the desire that you want to take part in a protest, then you do so. But you also know that you stand out. And when they come down, they're going to come down harder on you than they come down on anybody else around you. So many Latinas, what was it, 58%, almost 60%, 6 out of 10 Latina men voted for Trump. So now asking people that you purposely said you would spite just so they didn't have a president that looked like them again. Like, these were the talks. But now it's, I can't believe this, and not for nothing. Who are y'all to like tell black people what they should be doing? Like that's the problem that we have, is that it's like everybody feels like they have a say-so in how black people navigate life. We protested in November when we voted for Harris. And y'all decided that I don't like the Marina. Trump, Mr. Trump. Remember the Venezuelan lady? And now she's saying, we've been duped, we've been fooled. Man, no, you didn't. You didn't listen to exactly what he was saying, and you only listened to what you wanted to hear him say. And now that he's doing everything that he said he would do, people are pretending that he never said those bad things. So that's that. I know I said I was closing. Also, let's pay attention to what's going on with that big, beautiful, ugly bill or whatever. It's currently in the Senate, where hopefully a few things get pulled out of there. But even going back to the House, they're gonna hide things. They're gonna tuck things on lines and hope that people, the Democratic staffers, don't get to them or whatever. So let's keep the pressure on. Keep the phone calls, the emails, and for those in towns where they're having town halls, keep going to those. Keep speaking up. It's having an effect. Trust me when I tell you, it's having an effect. I want to thank y'all all for your constant and continued support. I'm just going to keep trying to bring you news and topics that I think are pertinent to what our plight is, going through these very, very dangerous and volatile times. There you go. All right, y'all. That's my time. I'm out. Peace.